Hello, and welcome to a special edition of Up Close on METV. I'm Charles Clapsaddle, Station Manager for Manatee Educational Television. And it's our great pleasure to have with us today two individuals who are going to talk about a very important program that's available right here in our community. Please let's welcome a face that's probably familiar to a great many of you, Natalie Schiff, who is the Program Community Coordinator for PAX. Natalie, welcome back to METV.
Thank you.
It's such a pleasure to see you here and to have you back on METV.
Well, it's fun to be here, and I really appreciate it, Charles. This program, PAX, which is Programs of Academic Exchange, I heard about it a couple months ago, and I went on the website and I talked to the people at PAX. They're located in New York, and I thought it was a great program to bring to our community. And so here I am telling you about it, hoping your listeners will hear about it, because I'm trying to get host families. Because in order to get the students over here from Europe, all different countries in Europe, we have to have a host family.
And you brought someone with you who was a host family.
Aren't
and welcome now, Laura Hollins. And Laura, you're a French teacher at Bayshore High School.
I am.
And as a former host family, is that correct?
Yes.
Well,
correct.
Thank you very much for being here, and we want to hear all about, what it takes to be a host family and some of the input. But first, Natalie, if you could tell us a little bit about PAX and how does one get involved with even bringing foreign exchange students? How does the process work?
Well, PAX is a foundation, not-for-profit foundation. They've been founded in 1990, and they work very closely with the government, because I myself had to take a test for a state government to make sure that I knew all the guidelines. And what they do is their mission is to bring the young people over 15 to 18, high school age, for the culture, so they can share their culture with the host families, and they can get the culture of America. And it's a great program. It's worked wonderful. I have a newsletter here that I've gotten, and all over the country, Salt Lake City and all over, they have this PAX program. And I think it's rather new here, because I'm the first one that I know of that is doing the coordinating.
Well, I think it's a great opportunity for families to kind of interact with people, with young people from all over the world. And it's also a great opportunity for these young people to see America and to know how, what Americans are. And Laura, if we can, I want to just take a brief moment. When were you a host family?
We were a host family 3 years ago. Lynn arrived from China, from Beijing, to be with us for 10 months.
Wow.
It was a wonderful experience. We did it primarily to introduce the Chinese culture to our adopted Chinese daughter, Chloe. And Lynn was going to be the big sister, both only children, so they became like sisters and shared a musical talent together, and they started playing together and played concerts. And Lynn was a student at Bayshore, so she came with me for the 10 months. We just had a wonderful time with her. And
the thing about, I would think, from my perspective, to be a host family has got to be such a rewarding thing, because you're opening new horizons for young people that maybe only know about America from movies or television or from magazines, but when they actually get an opportunity to live with an American family and see our culture and values, it's got to be an eye-opening experience.
Well, that's what I felt about the program. I thought it was so rewarding for both the families and for the young people that come from Europe to do that. And I would like to mention that there is no cost to a host family. I think it's important for people to know that. These students come with their tuition, but it's in the public school, but they come with their health insurance, and they come with their spending money. They have to have had 3 years of English, which is very important. They're all at least a C average, and they have their orientation. They come very excited to be here.
Oh, I can imagine.
Now, they can come through PAX. I know there are other programs that do different, but the PAX program will bring them in for either one semester or the whole year.
Oh.
And they have to take certain courses. They have to take English, they have to take history. So they really have guidelines, and we have orientation. And if a host family has a student with them, then I'm the advocate for them. I would be the coordinator taking care, making sure every month that we have contact, keep in communication, if they should have any problems. So they don't have to feel, well, they're going to host a young person, but they're not going to have anybody that they can turn to if there's any reason at all.
And well, I think that's really important especially for a young person. There might be initially that kind of culture difference that you might, but know that you have it not only as an advocate, but knowledgeable about how to resolve any kind of issues that may come up.
Right.
But you know, Laura, the question I have for you, when your student first came, was there kind of an initial type of thing, or was it a lot of excitement?
Oh, well, initially a lot of excitement. You know, you go to the airport and you're waiting and waiting in anticipation, and then when you get her home, and you kind of have to show them the house and the rules and establish all the, you know, the customary things that we do as a family. And Lynn just fit in beautifully. And there were some funny moments with helping her with her English. Of course, when we tried to speak Chinese, her English was far better than her Chinese.
I can imagine that.
But how important, and from your perspective, you know, to kind of have that interaction with an individual, you know, especially with your family and your adopted daughter, how important was that to have that kind of bonding going on with a student from her home country?
Oh, just so important, so amazing for her to see the culture. Lynn would cook her Chinese meals, and we would teach her. She loved to learn how to bake. So we spent a lot of time in the kitchen. We traveled to Disney and Busch Gardens and all the things that kids like to do, and she made friends and took music lessons here in the States, and so she just really blended in.
We're showing a picture here now of your daughter and Lynn at Disney, and it looks like that's got to be a wonderful experience for a young student to come from China to be at Disney.
Yes, she really enjoyed it. They were like two little kids because Chloe, believe it or not, living in Florida all these years, never wanted to go to Disney. So this was her first opportunity as well. So they both got to enjoy it together.
Now the other photo you have is very interesting. And let's take a look at that. And that's, you're all dressed up. It looks like a holiday picture. But if you could just look at that for a moment, there's your daughter and Lynn and you. And obviously you have a large panda in your house. Is that correct?
Well, we typically do some crazy Christmas pictures, and Lynn's parents sent us this huge costume, this panda, and we decided that would be an appropriate holiday picture since she was there. So all of us ladies were in our Chinese dresses.
Beautiful dresses.
And so that's my husband. Yes, he's underneath that costume.
Well, that's a wonderful experience.
Costume.
Yes, yeah.
But one of the things, Natalie, and Laura, you know, the same question to you is how are families selected? Is there a process that one goes through, or an application? Do you pick up the phone? Do you say, well, I really want to do this and do that? What is the process by which a family can be a host family for a foreign exchange student?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, because that's really important. First of all, they have to have the desire to host a student. And then hopefully, if they hear about it through this program or any other way, they will contact the community coordinator. I'm the community coordinator, or in any area that they're in. And then we will meet. And what I think is so nice, I can't go into the home and take a picture with the total profile of any one student, but I can go in and we can talk, and the family can say, well, we'd like someone from England, or we'd like someone from France or Russia, or wherever they met, because PAX actually covers about 40 countries. Wow. They cover all over. They've got students waiting to come
I can
here.
imagine.
Yeah, they really do. So we can talk about that. If the family is sports-minded, we'll talk about that. So they'd like to, so kind of matching up the student with the family.
And the interests.
And the interest. And then again, I want you to understand, PAX families come in all sizes. So we can have a family with children. We can also have a couple that might like to. There's a little extra checking, but we can have a couple or a single parent if they person would like to do that. It all takes a lot of checking. We have to, when we go in, I'll go in, they fill out an application, submit it to PAX. We have to do a background check.
Obviously.
Definitely. But once that's done, then we get the student and we bring the picture of the student, and the student will fill out their application and they'll send a letter. It's really a very nice
So there's
program.
a lot of coordination going on.
Absolutely.
For example, in Laura's case, with her daughter having a music background, was that kind of a criteria that you wanted somebody with kind of a music background?
We wanted to match her with somebody that shared some similar interests,
Right.
and yeah, definitely.
And I think that's really important too. So there's a kind of a sense of harmony when that young person comes there. They have those built-in shared interests. But the most interesting thing, Natalie, and perhaps you could talk a moment about this, is that it could be across the board of any family. It could be a retired couple, perhaps,
Right.
with whose children have grown and moved on, but who still have an interest in helping
Right.
young people. Or it could be a young couple, perhaps, with with children in the house already. So there is no kind of set criteria. It's open to anyone
Right.
who has a desire and the initiative to kind of
Yeah.
go forward.
And the desire is so good because it gives such a communication. You bring these 15 to 18-year-olds over, and they don't know anything about the country, and they go back with such a good feeling. And with the PAC students, we encourage them to not only just go to school, but to also participate in things in school, which is really wonderful. So it's like a win-win situation.
Oh, I can imagine,
It's
yeah.
just the idea of people understanding it and knowing what it means, giving this culture, sharing our culture, letting them come and share their culture. And you hear so many nice stories about after they go back, they keep in touch, families go over there. I had that in my own family. We were familiar with it.
I think it's very important too,
Yeah.
and as you just mentioned, because Lynn went to school with you every day. I'm sure she made a lot of friends and kind of interacted in the American culture quite a bit. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, she did, and she still is in contact with a lot of them. Most of the kids that she spent time with have graduated this year. So, but she was in touch with them, and I'm sure via Facebook and all those neat things, she's in touch with them. She's chosen to go to Northwestern to start her
that's
college
wonderful.
career. And Illinois is where I'm from, so it's kind of ironic that she's chosen that, but she's very bright and she'll do really well with her music.
You know, I think that having been an exchange student in this country certainly helped her a little bit in her application at Northwestern.
Oh, yes.
Because that was a very good thing. They like to look for that kind of thing. And that was really, really good that she was able to get into a college here.
Yes, and after she left Bayshore, she went to Interlochen in Michigan for 2 years.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
that's
good
for
study
her
her
music.
Good for her.
Yeah, isn't that wonderful?
Yes.
Now, when I'd like to ask you, when you were hosting the family, did you find the child? You didn't find any really big extra expense, did you? I mean, aside from, because I find with like you think, well, if you're going to host, you've got to do this or that, but you're cooking anyway. You've got the house, you've got the bed. If you go on like your little trip to Disney, so it was a little extra, and then the young people do have money for things. They come with it, so that if a family says, well, we'd like to take you, but maybe we can't afford it.
Right.
But I think that most families manage to afford it because they want to. They want to show the young
and
people.
it becomes, I would think, and perhaps Laura can do it, that it becomes, that person becomes kind of part of the family.
Absolutely.
So you do the extra effort for that, but that's part of the total effort that you want to put forward of having that one individual in your home. But that's another thing that we'd like to talk about briefly, if we may, for both of you, is that when the students come over here, it is bit of a culture shock, you know, going from whatever country they're coming from. So, I mean, there's food issues and there's, you know, just transportation and things like that. Do you find that it's very important for the student to be able to work with the family to kind of get over those things? And that's where your coordination comes in, and also the generosity and the values of the host family. So, what's your perspective on that?
Well, that's where I come in. They have their orientation when they first come, and they know what they can expect. And say it shouldn't work out. You know, I wouldn't want a host family to think, well, what if I get someone here and we just don't match? We don't like each other. You know, anything can happen if there's not a good chemistry.
Correct.
Well, then I'll come in and meet with them, and we'll work out, and we'll find them someplace else. They don't have to feel they're really
tied
stuck.
to.
They're not tied to, no. And I like the fact that we have a 3-month, just a 1 semester, or the whole year that we can offer the kids, because there's kids waiting for either that some want to come for a whole semester, a whole year, some want to come for just a semester. So it works out good. But I think that the family has to understand that if it shouldn't work, it doesn't. They don't have to feel bad. We'll work it out. The main thing is getting them here. We'll find some place for them.
And I think that's part of the process too of understanding the process of how to apply for it, of what your specific interests are, how you can become how that one student become part of that family. It's not as if we're just picking this young person and we're putting him over here. It's really a level of effort to kind of match and marry those young people to families that have a lot to give. When you went through the process, did you find it very difficult to apply?
No, not at all. Not at all. We worked with a local coordinator, and it was very easy. I think it was a lot more for the student, you know, with the medical insurance. They have to make sure that all their papers are in order. But on our end, no, it was effortless.
Well, and that's a good thing too. So if there's individuals, families, a young family or retired, whatever, that want to apply, they need to contact you or directly, or should they go to the...
No, they need to, I believe...
And how can they do that? What's the phone number?
941 355-4289. And I know that you've had it up on the screen for me. They need to call me. I'll come over and meet with them. We'll talk about the program if they want to hear more about it. As I said, we'll talk about what their likes are, what they're looking for. It's really rewarding for people to do that, to be able to share what we have here in this country with these young people. It makes a good match.
I would think that, you know, with a young person coming over and staying with a family, you know, with the character and qualities of Laura's family, perhaps, you go back as a young person with that kind of like fulfilled thing that you really found out, you know more now about a family, about America, than perhaps you can do by reading all the magazines and watching all the television.
Because you're living it.
And I'm sure that, you know, when she goes back to China, or as another student goes back to wherever, they're going back with a positive attitude about knowing about America. And one thing also I want to mention to you, Natalie, briefly, I would think in this community, in Manatee and Sarasota kind of community, with the large retired population that we have, it would be a wonderful opportunity for perhaps retired people who still have the energy and the outlook and the appreciation for doing things, to be a sponsored family.
Absolutely. It would be wonderful. Wonderful for them, and it'd be company for them, and it would be great for the students, so to be like their grandparents.
And as you know, and as you're the perfect example, you know, being a senior citizen doesn't mean sitting around anymore.
No.
It means, you know, full of activity and stuff. And a young person really appreciates that kind of level of involvement.
Well, I think it would bring the senior couple, especially, or even if a woman's alone, if she feels like she wants to host a family, it would bring bring them an incentive to keep going, to do things. I think as seniors, we just need to keep busy. If we don't keep busy, then I think we're in big trouble.
Well, and I think that would be a wonderful thing for perhaps seniors to, perhaps consider this. And Laura, one of the things I wanted to ask you is that when you brought Lynn to school, I mean, being a teacher over at Bayshore, a French teacher for, many years, or a few years, let's put, is that how did she fit into the school environment? Did it take her a little time to kind of think that, or was she readily available to make friends? And
Lynn just had that kind of personality. She, I would imagine that initially it's hard for anyone, but I was able to introduce her, and she took French on top of it. So that was that was neat.
In your class?
In my class.
That's nice.
So I was able to introduce her to some, but she made friends beautifully on her own. And something else I might add, another aspect of this exchange program this year, 3 of my advanced placement students hosted German kids this school year for 3 weeks, and right now they are probably enjoying themselves in Germany because they are able to go over there, and they were so excited, and I think that was the best experience for them. They just talked about it. They couldn't wait to see their friends again. So
I think that's
interesting.
I think that's a really important thing.
What's also interesting, Charles, is that I read where most of the exchange students have been coming from Germany, and that's very interesting. But there's a group that the Muslims that want to come over, and Russian students. I mean, PAX, I don't know if I mentioned, but I'll mention again that they have 40 different countries that they offer students from. So if a family wants to host, they can pick whatever family.
And I think that's an important aspect of that. Perhaps that family might have some, ancestries or roots in one country, which would be very important to host a student, say, from Russia or one of the European,
Italy, if you have
or wherever it might
Italian.
be. And I see this program, this outreach with a foreign exchange program, as being not only very important for a community, but also for for a country as a whole to kind of outreach, to kind of augment and enhance what our values and our efforts are. And I can imagine a student going back after a semester or a year back to their home country with nothing but positive feelings about being in the United States.
Oh, absolutely. Well, my niece in Michigan hosted a young fellow. He was 17 at the time, from England, and he lives here now. She went back to England for his wedding reception. He married a girl here. I mean, he's like one of her sons.
Well, and I think that's the type of
I think that happens
relationships
a lot.
that can build. And I think here in not only in Sarasota, Manatee area, there's a lot of people that are very generous and very outgoing that would welcome the opportunity to do that. So we want to encourage people to give you a call or go on the website and find out additional information. And if they have questions, they can contact you, and you can kind of walk them through the process.
Definitely, I'll be happy to meet with them, talk with them, explain anything to them that they need to know. I really feel the program is great. I'd like to see it working. I'd like to see a bunch of kids come down, and we can do you can get them together. There's all kinds of things we can do once we get our students here.
And I can see the possibility too that if you're a family, that if you host a student for perhaps a semester, perhaps the next semester you don't host them, but I can see a family as being like an ongoing type of permanent host family if they would like to do that.
There probably are some out there, but we've got to reach them. And hopefully through METV we'll reach
and other
a few
things
people.
that we can do that. And I would encourage people to go to your website or to give you a call to find out about that. Now, as time's winding down here, I want to go back and touch on a couple of things. Now Laura, as a teacher, you know how important it is to involve children and to get them enthused and everything. But at the same time, as a host family, what do you say to other people throughout the community, perhaps to encourage them to participate in a program like this?
It's just a wonderful experience all the way around. Doesn't matter, as you said, how old you are. I think they just add a new dimension to the family. It's a commitment, but it's really something that is so special, and I've seen how people stay in touch forever and ever. I think it's a positive win-win situation for everyone.
Would it be something that you would consider doing again?
Yes, I would actually like to. host a French student sometime. Something I've always thought would be
It'd
good.
be interesting, wouldn't it? Oh my
Since
goodness,
that's
you
my
could
lang-
probably learn a few things.
Yeah, of course.
Maybe I shouldn't say that,
Yeah,
but
but-
you never, it's just fun. It would be really fun.
Yes,
Instead of teaching, could be taught a little bit maybe.
absolutely.
Yeah, that would be good.
And one last question, Laura. How did Lynn interact with your family? And you have an 8-year-old daughter at the time?
At the time, yes.
Yeah. How was that interaction? Because a lot of families, I would think, that would be out there, they would have children of their own. Was there any kind of conflict or initial type of thing, but you kind of overcame that?
Nothing abnormal that happens within families. They became like sisters, and of course there were the little normal conflicts and the fact that Lynn rode to work with me every day, and then all of a sudden I have competition for the front seat. All very basic things, and I do
Sisterly things.
Sisterly things. I remember one time we were introducing. We had a combination. February 14th Valentine's and Chinese New Year party.
Oh.
And we invited everyone in the neighborhood, and we just had everybody bring desserts. And I just remember when we were introducing Lynn to people, and Chloe would be hanging on her daddy's arm saying, "I'm his daughter." So,
That's important.
just fun things like that. And,
Well, one of the things you shared with us beforehand, and you mentioned briefly, is the interaction between your daughter and Lynn and their musical interests. And I would see that happening within other families, whether it's sports or music or arts, is to have that kind of shared interest within a family. And your daughter plays...
She plays the violin,
and
Lynn played the flute.
Yeah, so I'm sure you had some great...
We did. I mean, they had a duet together. They played at somebody's baby shower. They played at
nice.
Suzuki for a concert. It was just amazing, and they practiced together.
I think that's wonderful. That's so exciting to know that can go on like that.
So the benefits far outweigh any kind of concerns that we might have.
Definitely.
Well, I don't think there really are a lot of concerns once the student gets in and gets acclimated to the house and all the surroundings. I think if somebody has a desire to bring someone down, they're going to work it out. It's going to work out good. And particularly because they have the opportunity to pick the type of student they want, and then, which is what I like.
And at each step, you kind of grow, nurture one another as a real family would do. But you're just like that wonderful host family, like Laura and her husband and her family did to Lynn. Now, Natalie, we only have a couple of minutes left, and I want you to kind of restate the fact how important it is for families in this community to kind of get involved in this project.
Well, I think our community, I've lived here many years, and I think we have a wonderful community, and I think we need to share it with a lot of young people from Europe. I think it's very important, and there's no better way to do it than bring someone down, bring them into your home, show them how you live, show them what we have in our community, and get the best from them back. I think it's just a great situation. I hope we can work it out. I'd like to see it ongoing here.
Exactly.
I know that throughout the country, through this little PAX newsletter I get, they do wonderful things. Some of the children go with the young, they're not really children, they're already teenagers. I shouldn't call them children. They join Habitat for Humana.
Exactly.
It's good to show these young people when they come down what we do in our community as well as volunteers.
I think that's an excellent point.
That we're not just at home, we're actually active and we're trying to better our community.
And I think that's a very important point, because all these young people can get involved in all the myriad different things that go on, whether it's Habitat for Humanity or the Humane Shelter or Cancer Support, or what those organizations, showing the best of what we have to offer.
Absolutely. I think that's what I'd like to encourage them to do. I hope we'll get some interest.
And I'm sure you will. And the key thing also here is it's an application process that you fill out. There's no expense to the family. There maybe some few peripheral things, but it's a very important. It's a kind of a bond that can last forever.
Right. The student that comes down does not have to have their own room, as long as they share a room, not with a little baby, but share a room with another female or male, whatever it is. And just food, what you normally would feed your family. If you take them out, it's just not that much more.
Exactly.
I think all the benefits to the family and anyone I've talked to, and like Laura, I'm so happy to hear how she is so enthused about it. I think it'll work out really well.
And I'm sure as well, or in Laura's case, you can have Lynn prepare Chinese food and do the baking for it because that worked out. Ladies, I want to thank you very much for participating. You know, Laura, you know, obviously, you know, it was a wonderful experience for you, and you know, it's good to hear that type of thing, that other families, you know, can have the same type of positive experience that you had. And Natalie, this is a wonderful undertaking for this community, both for Manatee and Sarasota County. There's probably hundreds, if not more, families out there that perhaps need to learn about this information, so perhaps they can make an informed decision to be a host family.
Right,
and,
hope so.
And I think what we can do perhaps in the future is perhaps we'll do a follow-up program with perhaps a family who's interested in becoming, so we can answer some of those questions.
Or if we get a host family that already signed up, we can talk to them, see what they've decided to do.
Exactly, and what the process is.
Well, Charles, thank you so much.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for joining us again, Natalie, on this special edition of Up Close on METV. And if you want any additional information about PAX and all the programs and services that it can offer, please contact the website or call Natalie at the number listed on your screen. Thank you again for joining us on this edition of Up Close on METV. And